Good morning once again. In case you came in later or what have you, my name's Gilbert, and I want to thank you for a warm welcome and a lovely congregation, and very lively. That's always good. We live in a society in which loneliness has become one of the most painful human words. Words by Henry Nouwen. Loneliness is also expressed in today's storybook, as we heard, about the princess, and today's reading of a member in a Unitarian Universalist congregation somewhere. It is true as well that some of us still find loneliness even when we have a partner or family in our lives. Loneliness is also something that care providers experience when caring for a dying or ill family member or friend. Nonetheless, the loneliness, a feeling of isolation, doesn't go away for those who live with various mental health obstacles. And if you notice, I use the word obstacle. And if you look at your bulletin, it'll also say obstacle, because that's all it is. It's a little hurdle. And if we see it as something else that defines a person, that means we're saying that the person is that. When someone has cancer, we don't necessarily say that's a cancerous person. We say they live with cancer or they're fighting cancer. So why can't we do the same thing for mental health obstacles? I can imagine that some of you here today woke up cheery and thankful to have another day to enjoy the wonders of the world, including the beautiful rhythms of nature. One of you may have stopped by a flower bush as you walked to your car to come here. Another person may have listened to the beautiful tune of a bird singing while you're drinking your coffee. At the same time, someone in this room, a friend, relative, or someone you have yet to meet, woke up struggling with what the day may bring. For those in church today, here or somewhere else, you have pushed yourself to come into a safe place. The building, the chairs, the technology, etc., don't make a church a safe place. You, the people, make the church a safe place. When you can share your joys and concerns without fear or judgment. The blessings come in the form of giving thanks for another day or having another meal to eat. A concern is a worry of how you will pay the overdue bill or how you will pay for that refill that you need in your medications. Medications are essential to many people for various reasons. Prescription drugs are useful to treat things like diabetes, cancer, or to help rid the body of a virus, not to mention other medical conditions like mental health obstacles. Obstacles can come in the form of anxiety or panic attacks, needing a boost against depression, schizophrenia, ADD, ADHD, bipolar, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, or eating disorders, to name a few. And while we talk about mental health obstacles, we cannot do it without talking about suicide. Suicide is often another topic that many people shy away from because it is too difficult to process because of a loved one dying by it or the individual having suicidal ideation. Church, in the universal sense, has, for the most part, swept it under the rug when conducting a funeral. A funeral of one who has died by suicide must be acknowledged for the survivors who are feeling angry, sadness, or any mix of emotions. We must not shy away from talking about it either in society or in church. Conversation cannot stop. We must be part of the solution to destigmatize mental health and offer a safe place, free of judgment and full of love and support. Mental health does not discriminate based on gender, age, race, or sexuality. For example, 16.3 Hispanic Latinx adults, 19.3 white adults, 18.6 black adults, 13.9 Asian adults, 28.3 of American Indian or Native Alaskan adults live with some form of mental illness. It is essential to mention that LGBTQ individuals are 2 times more likely as heterosexuals to live with a mental health obstacle. 11% of transgender individuals are denied access to mental health clinics because of discrimination or biases. LGBTQ youth are 2 to 3 times more likely to attempt suicide than their heterosexual counterparts. The invisible pain for many is real, whether we can see it or not. We must not only be willing to listen and walk the journey with someone, but at the same time, if we are experiencing something, we must be prepared to ask for help. Remember a few months ago, I heard an individual praying with others and blaming them for their addictions and their mental health obstacles. And although you don't quite know me, maybe you will get to know me as time goes by, I was utterly shocked and frankly disgusted by the notion that this person was blaming the individuals who, by various elements, ended up eating at a weekly community meal at a church. So, from a minister's perspective, to be listening to that, you can only imagine how hard it was to bite my tongue. And that, to me, is part of the reason why I like to talk about mental health obstacles as much as possible from the pulpit. Addictions are not the fault of the person. Instead, we must ask ourselves how we as a society are contributing to this person's living situation. It's easy for us to blame someone else for what they're living. But how is we as a society, what are we doing or what are we not doing to help them? Do they have access to medical and or mental health clinics? Why are so many losing access to affordable housing? How do food deserts last so long in some neighborhoods? We must ask again and again and again until we're tired of it and ask, what are we doing? What are we not doing to help continue the conversation on mental health? Perhaps it's why I found enlightenment in communicating with Don this week, as he too called having mental health obstacles invisible scars. Scars that many times we are not able to see unless the individual carrying them allow us to see them. For example, I'm not ashamed to admit that I keep regular counseling appointments with a licensed counselor who also happens to be a pastoral care counselor. I chose this professional because it is vital that I have someone who not only knows the secular aspect of counseling, but also the spiritual side. And why do I share this with you? I share this information because it is my part of helping destigmatize mental health obstacles from within ministry, from the church, and from the pulpit. During the last presidential election, many folks were deeply affected by the results for various reasons. And at the seminary, it was no different. We actually had a whole room reserved for anybody wishing to come in there and just be in community. And some of those concerns, those sorrows, were concerns for women's rights, immigrant rights, and LGBTQ rights, just to name a few. And listening to friends, family, and colleagues, how the presidential results affected them, pained me to walk the journey with them. Nonetheless, walking the journey is what many groups in society do. And I can imagine that this congregation is no different. When a person passes away or moves away from a congregation, many taking part in the congregation feel the pain and anguish of missing that person or that family. We are all part of creation of nature. When compared to a pack of four-legged mammals, each member left behind experiences the pain as well. Imagine that you have 3 dogs at home and one passes away. Not only will you, the pet parent, feel the loss, but so will your fur children. We are also like plants that require attention, sun, love, and care. Dealing with a plant that is ill, one's instinct would be to what? Cut the ailing part. Let's just cut it out. Maybe we can salvage the rest. And I'm not saying to cut that leaf. It's not the solution. I remember back in Texas when my husband and I owned our home, my father-in-law kept coming and being persistent that one of the trees in our front yard looked dead and it had a disease. Being the stubborn person that I can be sometimes, I refused to allow the tree to be cut down. And instead, I began to give it special attention. And with time, the tree started to show its greenness once again. In fact, during our last visit to Texas in late March, we drove by our old house, and the tree is almost as tall as a house, and it's a 2-story home. So you can imagine how big it's grown. By all means, I gave the tree worth as a living thing that needed my help and individual attention. Support and care are what many who live with mental health obstacles are seeking, but fear being outed. Perhaps it's why I took a liking to 4 of the Unitarian principles. And I'm more than sure you're familiar with your principles. First principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in your congregations. 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Any person, whether 100% healthy or not, is looking for recognition of their worth, their dignity, justice, equity, compassion, acceptance, encouragement, spirituality, and respect from others. Folks who walk with mental health obstacles do not want to be defined by their obstacle. They, just like someone else who is fighting cancer or living with diabetes, want to be seen for the whole person that they are. They are active members of the community. They are in long-term relationships. They have friends, and they keep steady jobs. Aside from family, friends, and coworkers, they want to feel the love of their church community. My friends, I know that I cannot make you do anything you don't want to do. I cannot force you to take a few words home today. Instead, I will encourage you that you contemplate what it means to help uplift and to recognize someone by the value they bring into your life. It can be any person, maybe even the person sitting next to you. If you are sitting here today and are having a dark or low day, know this: I love you. God loves you. Mother Nature loves you. We love you. And while I cannot take the pain away, I will tell you this: you will feel better. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, or the next day, but the day will come. Do not be afraid to reach out. Take a moment for yourself in your busy life to enjoy the wonders of the world, including the sounds of nature. Preparing to begin a new week, remember this: whether your flame is burning brightly or whether it burns dimly, together we shall keep each other's flame lit. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. Amen.